Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to another episode of The Art of Being. This is a space where we talk about all things spirituality, we talk about consciousness, we talk about awareness, we talk about healing. So, if that's your type of thing, join us in this conversation and the other conversations to come. Today, we're going to talk about
Abundance.
Abundance.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
You've been feeling very abundant lately. Yeah, the reason why we want to talk about this is because Joy keeps bringing up that she wants to talk about abundance because she's been feeling abundant and she wants to share with us. So, yeah, we want to hear.
I've been feeling strongly about the topic of abundance.
It's
and
the same thing.
Exploring it.
It's the same thing. It's the feeling like you want to talk about it. It's because there's some part of you that's feeling in the abundance. Right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why you want to share with people.
Yeah.
And tell them, okay, abundance, and educate them about like what abundance is, because as we've talked about, sometimes people tend to focus on the money.
Yeah.
Focus on the money, focus on the position you have. And if you don't have like a certain amount of money in your bank account, you feel like you're not abundant, right? Because a lot of people, that's how they measure themselves.
Yeah.
But I think we're starting to see a lot of conversations of reframing of what abundance is, right? And I think that's so beautiful because it's a good reminder that there's so much to like.
There's so much more to
so much
abundance
more
than just money. I guess society has made us think that abundance, the only form of abundance, is money. But there's so much more, and I think we've always said this. I'd like to first begin by asking you, like, how do you define abundance? What's abundance to you?
For me, it's the state of being. Abundance is the state of being. The way that I see it is how you feel about what you have. It's not what you have, right? You could have nothing, like in terms of like money in the bank account or whatever, but you feel so great about your health. You feel so great about the love that you have in your life. You feel so great about your children.
Yep.
You feel so great about friendships that you have.
Yeah.
Right? It's like about how you feel. It's a state of being. It's not measured by this like external thing of like I have this X amount of money in the bank account. So I think that's how I've come to define abundance.
Yeah.
Like did I define it like that 5 years ago?
No.
So I've grown to see, like to start to see, other things outside of like how we're conditioned to see abundance. Yeah.
I agree with you because I also would define abundance in the same way. It's a state of being, not a state of having.
Right.
Because abundance to me is a mindset. It's if you feel abundant, then you're bound to attract things that are abundant in your life. It's not about what you have.
Right.
And when I say that, I mean there's so many wealthy people in the world that operate from a state of lack.
Right.
So they have all the money in the world. They can buy practically anything that they could ever want, but they're the most unhappy. They constantly have anxiety about losing that money. Sometimes I know they say that money buys you time, but I've also seen some very wealthy people that are constantly on the go. So they have the money, but they don't have time.
Right.
And so I would say it's a state of being, not a state of having.
Yes.
Those are two completely different
Absolutely.
things. So we do define it in the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the state of being is who you are. It's like, what energy are you operating from? Are you operating from energy of fear versus love, right? Because abundance is about love.
Yeah.
Abundance and love are so connected. So if you're operating from a state of fear, right, that's how you're going to show up in the world in terms of like, even if you have like thousands and millions of dollars, right, you are operating from the energy of fear. Therefore, you're going to just be anxious about your money. You're going to hold on to it. You don't even want to contribute to I've had people, in fact, there was a story I was listening to about this woman who had like thousands and thousands, and in fact millions of dollars, and I think she was being convinced to like contribute to a charity, but there's a part of her that was like, no, like she felt like she's losing something by contributing, even though she has so much money in the bank account, because she's operating from the energy of fear, right? So it's about energy. It's not about like, because a lot of people also like the reason why people use money to define abundance is because they don't go beyond money, right? Because money is not real. Money is just a tool that allows you, like, do you
To
just want to,
experience,
exactly, do you just want to have millions and millions lying there? Like, money
No.
is, it's supposed to get you somewhere. Like, the reason why you want money is
Yeah.
because of what it's going to give you, right?
Yeah.
It's not just
Yeah.
and that's why it's so good to examine, like, what state are you trying to achieve, right? Like, what is the feeling you're looking for? Because it's not like you want to hold on to, like, just a bunch of cash, right? Like, there's something that you want. Is it freedom, right? Is it just peace? Is it like like the feelings, right? And once you understand that, then you'll start to see abundance beyond money. Because if you understand that, then you will see that whatever state you're in, like, what are the things that are giving you those feelings?
Absolutely.
Right? Like, what is bringing you the love, the freedom, and whatever? Do you have that?
Yeah.
And if you don't see it, can you just examine your life again and see if you can see it, right?
Yeah. And we're saying, and I agree with you, and we're not saying, by the way, that, you know,
No,
we don't
that's
want
not
to
what we're
attract
saying.
money.
That's not what we're saying.
We love money because
Yeah, we do.
we
Yeah,
love
we
money.
do.
We
Yeah,
love
we
money
do.
because, and the reason I think people connect abundance to money is because money can buy a lot of the things that we want. It can buy happiness because if you're, you know, if you have ill mental health, it can buy you therapy.
Therapy, absolutely.
If you're going through a very hard time and the way that you let loose and release and come back to yourself is through travel, it affords you the opportunity to travel.
Yes.
If your state of abundance and you feel peace and inner harmony by being able to take care of your family, if you have the money and you take care of their family,
You
then
have
it
a
does
comfortable
buy
house.
you that. Exactly.
You're not sleeping hungry. So
Exactly.
we're not saying it's,
that.
I'm so glad that you,
Thank you.
put that disclaimer, because we're not saying that, like, okay, like, we are advocating for somebody to live in poverty and not have money.
Yeah.
That's not what we're saying.
Yeah,
right?
but I think what we're saying is your inner state of being sometimes also determines if you will experience that abundance externally, whether it's in the form of money or whatever it is.
Yes.
Because you attract what you are, not what you want.
Exactly.
Because when you're in fear, you're constricted. And when you're constricted, you're not open, you're not abundant. But then when you feel safe, when you feel harmony, when you feel love, it's expansive. And when it's expansive, then it brings to you everything that you need, desire, and want. So the thing that we're trying to say is cultivate a state of harmony, a state of peace, feeling abundant within yourself. And I think we spoke about this in another episode as well. Like, do you go outside and enjoy the birds, the trees, the feeling of the sun on your skin? That's being abundant. And it starts with that one little thing, and then before you know it, it's sort of like you've opened up something bigger, and a friend sends you flowers, and then if you've been applying to jobs and not hearing back then all of a sudden you have an interview, and then you go to the interview, then you get that. It starts with the small things, and it's like opening yourself gradually until you get to that expansive state, and then you have more things in your field, more abundant things in your field that can come to you. But when you're constricted and you're in fear, even your aura shrinks with you. So how are the things that you want, how are they going to find you? Yeah, so I guess the point is cultivate inner abundance, inner peace, and then automatically it just shows up in your external reality. Yeah.
And it's funny that you say that, like, last week,
Yeah.
was it last week or 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, you said, like, you wanted to talk about abundance because you've been feeling this energy of, like, okay, this is what I want to create. This is how I'm feeling currently. And I was like, I don't know if I'm ready to talk about that. And the reason I was saying that is because I also find we're not talking out of a place of, like, we're on the other side, right? This is a healing journey.
We're in it.
We're in it. We're confronting these limiting beliefs. We're confronting the conditioning, right? So we're in the journey. And the reason that I said to you that, like, I don't know if I'm ready to talk about that is because I myself, I'm confronted with the feelings and the limiting beliefs that I have to confront every day and question, right? And question the story that my ego is trying to tell me. So I found myself, like, recently reflecting on your new saying that you wanted to talk about this.
Yeah.
And in fact, what came to me was like, you already feel abundant. I already feel abundant. And I'm saying that because, as I said, like, abundance is a state of being. And the state of being that I'm operating from is inner peace, inner freedom, right? because those are the things that money can afford you. Like if you get to a state where like, yes, you go to therapy, right? You work through your internal conflict, you know,
your trauma, your inner child healing,
right.
whatever it is that you need to work
right.
on.
And then that affords you like the internal peace. And then once you have the internal peace and you're not operating from fear, like you feel
it
safe.
creates this space
exactly
for
exactly. So I was like, why did I say that I wasn't ready to talk about this? Is something that I already feel, right? Even though like my bank account is telling me a different story right now, I already feel abundance.
And
because
it's temporary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So because I was like, I already feel like that. Internally, I feel so much peace. I feel so much freedom, because part of why I'm here and operating from this state of being is because I've confronted a lot of internal conflict.
Absolutely.
I've alchemized a lot of wounds, right? In the past couple of years, I've worked through so much to be able to get to this place where like my nervous system is feeling safe. I'm feeling calm. I'm feeling so much inner freedom, right? I know I'm like in this dance of life where I understand like what I need to do to work through my inner conflict, and therefore like I'm not reactive all the time, right? So I was like, I'm already feeling abundant. I'm not like, even when I think about decisions, even when I am like, I want to get like that job or I want to do this thing, right? I'm not operating from a state of like, because if I get that thing, it's gonna bring me this feeling.
You already have the feeling.
I already have the feeling.
Yeah.
Like I know, like one thing that has become clear to me, there's no external thing
that
ever
make you happy.
that would take me from here to here.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
that's one thing that I realized. And in fact, it was last year, like I had a bunch of student loans. Like I had borrowed so much money to go to grad school, right? And I thought like, okay, like if I pay a huge chunk of it, I'm gonna feel so happy.
Yeah.
Because it's like you have this thing that has been
Yeah.
lifted off of your, you know, a huge weight.
Yeah.
Like I was so convinced. And I paid like a huge chunk of that. I literally was just the same. I was the same, and my friend was like, so how did you feel when you like made that payment? And I was like, nothing. Right? And because I'm at a place where like I understand nothing can take me from here to here, right? And that's a good thing, right? Because we tend to see that is a bad thing, that like my happiness can't be raised, but I honestly see that as a good thing, because then I'm like operating from like a neutral place.
Equanimity.
Yeah, even if let's say I like an external thing happens and then that takes me down, I'm like depressed, I'm disappointed, I'm whatever, it's also not gonna take me from here to here all the way down. It's like I'm here, it takes me from here. For anyone who's listening, I'm using my hands to demonstrate like whether like something is able to move me from like a neutral place to a high place, or from a neutral place to like a super low place. And there's no external thing that's able to do that. Like even if I experience like a major shock externally, it's only gonna move me from the neutral to like a bit lower, right? Where I'm able to come back to neutral very quickly. And if like something magical or something that I consider beautiful, it's just gonna move me slightly higher, right? It's not gonna just completely change my state of being, because I'm already
that
there.
Means you're in balance.
I'm already there.
You're in balance.
Yes, and that's what I call abundance.
I completely agree with you. And I think the other reason why we say it's a state of being and you have to work on your nervous system and remaining neutral and remaining equanimous and all of that is and we've had this discussion before, there's so many people who've like won the lottery and studies have been done and it shows that 80% of them 5 years later are usually broke, or back to square one, because they did not have the capacity to hold that type of money within them. So that's why we say it's a state of being, not a state of having, because by the time you get to that level, having that kind of money, handling that kind of abundance, you've shifted so much, created so much space, learned so many lessons. It's a journey, not a destination. So if someone just comes and hands it to you immediately, chances are you're not going to make the right decisions, you're not going to feel safe, you're probably going to worry, all of these things. And a lot of them end up either spending it all spending it on things that they can't afford because they don't have the foresight to know that if I spend on this, then I'll pay either more tax or the expenses are too high. So if you're buying this huge mansion, but then the cost to operate that mansion are like, you know, within a couple of years, it's going to be the exact same amount that you bought the mansion for, then you're going to lose the money.
Right.
Or they end up giving to relatives, or some even end up being robbed because you're not used to having this level of abundance in terms of money. You worry a lot. And so what does worry do? It attracts more worry to you. So
absolutely.
that anxious energy takes money, that money away from you because you don't feel safe holding it. You've not, and I don't know, you've not created enough safety within your nervous system or within you to be able to hold it. And that's why it's important to work on the internal first as you manifest it on the external so that they're at par. And that's why sometimes people like even attract jobs and they're like, oh my god, I really need to be making this type of money, and they attract a job that pays them that amount, and then they're fired down the line, a few months down the line or a year or two down the line. But that's because they have not calibrated to that level yet. I'm not saying that's true in all instances, but I'm just looking at some instances where you acquire it and then you lose it. You acquire it and then you lose it.
Or like even if you don't lose it, if you're like creating, and there's this creator that I follow that talks about creating from completion. From a state of being of completion. Like right now, like I said, like I know whatever external thing that I want, it's not because it's gonna give me a feeling that I don't already have. Right? Because if you're not creating from completion and you're creating from like fear and lack, is when you get to the other side, you realize that whatever feeling that you are chasing, right, you're going to operate from that fear and anxiety, like even when you get that thing, because you get to that place and you realize that, oh, I thought this thing was gonna change my state of being, right? Because you think like the money, and back again to saying that we're not saying that money is a bad thing. It's like examining like what you think that money is going to give you, right? Money is a beautiful thing. It's a tool that can afford you beautiful things, a beautiful life, beautiful experiences, right? But you need to question and understand like what is the feeling and what is the thing that I know money is going to get me. If you want more money because you want more freedom, right? How can you start feeling the feelings of freedom right now so that when you get to that point, you're not expecting the money to give you, you know, you're not like, you're already in that state of freedom, right? So then you've cultivated, your nervous system understands what it feels like to be free, right? So that like when you're on the other side, like you're going to be safe holding the money, right? So like if you're creating from a state of fear, you're creating from a state of lack, when you get on the other side, you realize that whatever job you get, whatever money you get, does not give you what you thought it was going to give you. And in fact, I've experienced that. There's some choices that I've made. Like I remember like before I applied to go to do my master's, I was in this job and I was deeply unhappy. I was like numb the whole time. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I just don't feel happy. Like maybe I need to change the title. I need to change what I do in the job, right? In order for me to feel like maybe I make more money. Maybe that job is gonna bring me, you know, more meaning. I think I was looking for meaning.
And fulfillment.
Right, and fulfillment. So I was like, okay, this job does not do it for me. So I was like, okay, what do I do? Then you figure out what is the external thing that I do, right? Because that's where we turn to. We immediately turn to external. Like, what is the external thing that's needed in order for me to feel the fulfillment? So I was like, okay, I'm good at like just figuring out the next step. What do I do? Apply for school, go to school, and then after school, then I'll get a better job. Which, like most cases, you might or you might not, right? So, but for me, I was like, okay, school is gonna allow me to get a better position. I leave the job, I go to school, I get to school, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I thought I was gonna be happy. I swear, I remember like being in my room. So I'm at school, I'm interacting with people. It's so vibrant, like meeting new people, being like, oh my God, it's so great to meet you. It's so amazing, like just meeting people from all over the world. And then I go back to my room and I'm crying. I'm like, I really thought I was gonna be happy when I got here.
So it's not the thing.
It's not the thing.
It's not the
when
thing.
when you get to the other side is when you realize it's not the thing. I thought the thing was gonna make me happy, and so I was questioning, like, okay, did I make the wrong decision? Because I really thought grad school was gonna make me happy.
Yeah.
Right? And then I continue repeating the same pattern. You know, after grad school, I get a job, and I think like, okay, finally, I'm gonna be happy. And then I get there,
and then you're not happy.
I'm still the same person. It's
yep.
because internally
you've not
you're still the same person.
Yeah.
The state of being,
yeah.
the energy is the same.
Yeah. So
right?
no
if you don't
thing
exactly
is going to give you that fulfillment that you're seeking to feel internally.
Yes.
Yeah. No,
yeah.
I 100% agree with you. I really 100% agree with you. And I think that kind of like leads into the next point, where when we say that gratitude unlocks more abundance, because like I relate to you when you say you thought getting this job would get you, or getting a different title, or getting to a different place will make you happy, but then when you got it, it didn't make you happy. And so what I've learned is to just be grateful for what I have now, because then it leads me to the next thing that might bring the fulfillment or the internal happiness that I'm seeking. Do you know what I mean? And I found like the more I'm grateful, the more I'm in a state of gratitude for what I have now, the more I have to be grateful for. So if I have a job, it may not be aligned to what I want to do, or it may not be the best job in the world,
but it's doing something for you.
Yeah, so
it's serving a purpose.
Exactly. But I tend to be like more practical, like, okay, what is this job helping me to have? It's helping pay my bills, my rent. It's helping me take care of my family. It's helping me do this. I can treat myself to a meal every once in a while. I can do this, I can do that. And I feel gratitude for what that enables, for what it enables me to do. So I may not be completely happy, but then the more gratitude that I feel for that, then it also like expands my view of, okay, what else? What's next? Because I'm not just focusing on, I hate this so much, it's not making me happy. It's not, because then it just continues to create more of that internally. But when I'm grateful for the external thing that I have, it creates more gratitude within me. It creates more openness, expansiveness, hence more abundance. Then I'm able to see either another opportunity that's more aligned with me.
Right.
Because if you're feeling abundant, if you're feeling gratitude within, there's no way that your external reality will continue to reflect. You're not going to be in the same vibration anymore. At some point, you are going to go into the next thing that aligns with your internal state. And so that's why I feel like it's important to cultivate the gratitude, I'm really happy that I have this thing, and what does it enable me to have? Because that's what you're feeling internally. And after some time, you're no longer going to be a vibrational match to whatever you're experiencing externally, and then you move to the next thing.
Yes. And because what you're speaking to is like when you're feeling abundant, you feel like you're free. Because when you feel, and when I say free, I mean like you feel like you have choices. Right?
You don't feel obligated to be like, this is the one thing.
You're not in a victim state.
You
feel like you have choices. You feel like you have freedom.
Exactly.
So therefore, like, and you can see the temporariness of whatever situation.
It's not permanent.
Right? Like, because you understand that, okay, and you're grateful for the job, for what it's doing, because it's helping you navigate this human world. It's a tool that's helping you pay your bills, take care of your family, whatever. Like, you see it for what it is, and you understand the temporariness of it. So therefore, like, even if there's a part of you that's not satisfied fully with like the role itself and what you're doing, you can be at peace with it, because you see like the good that it's bringing, and you're grateful for it, right? Because when you operate from like a state of lack, because you're not good internally, that's when you get into like a cage. You feel like it's caging you. You feel
constricted.
You feel like it's the job, but it's actually not the job, right? It's not the job. It's what you are feeling internally.
Because everything is energy.
Exactly.
You're either feeling expansive or you're feeling contracted. And so I agree with what you're saying, because if internally you're feeling constricted, you're in a victim mode, you're like this, and so you're not able to see the choices that are available to you. But if you're feeling expansive, then you're able to see all the choices around you. So it is, I guess that's also something else that I've come to learn. It's about abundance is really, it's all energy. And it's not the same in different seasons of life, and not even day to day. There are days that you feel like extremely open and abundant, and seems like the universe is going
tell me
your
about
way.
it.
It's all green
Sometimes
lights,
I see a bird and I'm like, oh,
right?
The sun touches my face and I'm like, oh, hallelujah.
Exactly.
And other days,
it's like,
yeah.
And this is very practical. When I wake up in the morning and I'm like I feel so good today. Literally, I'll wake up, everyone's happy in the house for some reason. I'm going to work, I don't run into any traffic. It's all green lights. You get to work, it's a great day. Like the day is just smooth. Someone even offers to buy you a cup of coffee that day or something. You're having a good hair day, everything, But then on the days that when you're feeling like down in the dumps and you're angry and you're all of a sudden, you're having a bad hair day, your heel breaks as you're walking down the stairs. There's mad traffic and you're late, you go to work and your boss, your supervisor, whoever is angry at you, like nothing is going right, and it's like this downward
energy
spiral.
And vibration.
It is energy.
It's energy and vibration.
Energy. Yeah. So I've really come to realize that. And somehow when I'm in that state, it's like everyone that I meet is angry with me. It's like everyone things just go wrong.
Because the universe is reflecting you.
Your internal state,
right?
Exactly.
It's like whatever you feel internally, as within, so without. This is like a phrase that comes back over and over in all our episodes. Like whatever comes in your reality is reflecting the internal state.
Exactly.
Right? So if you're feeling like lack, the universe is going to give you lack. Externally, people are going to reflect lack.
Exactly.
Right? So it's like that energy and vibration that you're operating from is what you're going to be
externally
attracting in terms of like reflections.
You might want to blame it's the traffic, it's the boss, it's the this, it's the that. No, but
it's an internal state.
It's your own energy that's creating this present reality that you have. So it's really interesting, and it's something that that I've noticed, and I want to consciously practice, like when I wake up, even if I'm in a funky mood, to like intentionally bring myself back to center and decide that you know what, it's a great day and I'm going to have a great day.
Right.
Because then that's the intention that I set that I'm going to go out into the day with, and then it helps to attract more of that. And even if you attract situations that are less than ideal, I've found that when you're in an irritated state, you can make like a mountain out of a molehill. Yes. Because you're reacting. Yes. And you escalate it. But then when you're feeling like, when you're in a different state, even when there's a fire burning, you're sort of like in equilibrium.
Absolutely.
You're responding to the situation. You're not reacting to it. So it ends up turning out very differently than if you were in a different state.
Yes.
So
absolutely. Yeah. Because like if you're grounded, if you're feeling like you're operating from this energy of completeness, for example, like nothing outward is gonna trigger you. Yeah. Because everything that triggers you just reflects the state of lack what's internal. Right? Yeah. So it's like if you're like you were saying, like one time I remember I found myself that morning I had set an intention of patience, for example. And then the universe, then I was stuck in traffic, I think.
Decided to test
I went somewhere and then I was stuck in traffic. Literally, I could not understand why, like our section, you know how like the police officers have to like, direct traffic? Yeah. I could not understand why we were kept there for like a really long time. Like in fact, I was just like, this is a play. There's no way this is real.
Because it was testing like your intention that you had set. Yes. It's like, okay, you have set the intention, but then how are you going to respond to it in an actual real life situation?
Yeah, I was like, they're like directing traffic and all these other sections are being directed to flow. We're stuck here. And and thank goodness, like I had awareness to remember that I had set that intention to be aware, and then but I felt like I'm really being tested because I was like, fighting the urge to be annoyed by the whole situation. But I was like, no, like annoyance is not gonna change anything, right? Annoyance just creates more resistance, which then you are in that vibrational state where like more irritation is going to be attracted to you, right? So it's like sometimes the universe wants to have you then embody what the intention that you set.
Yeah.
Like if you had set an intention of like being abundant that day, and I found myself in situations where like, okay, like I want to embody abundance today, I swear. I go, and then when I want to pay for something, I feel contraction. Well, it's like, oh, my money is leaving my bank account.
Oh my goodness.
Money is leaving my bank account.
Yeah.
You know, I feel that contraction.
Yeah.
And it's not because that's necessarily like my state of being, but it's like the universe wants me to be aware and release that old energy of contraction that I used to feel, right? So like that, like setting an intention is so important, because the intention gives you like experiences throughout the day, right? For you to embody whatever intention you had set, or sometimes it reminds you to notice the little things. So intention setting, it's so important. Whether to like if somebody gives you like a flower, somebody smiles at you, you notice that. If you had set an intention of abundance, you're like, oh, that is such a beautiful thing. What a beautiful smile. You're likely to notice if you set an intention. Or sometimes you're presented with an opportunity for you to demonstrate how abundant you are.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
So if you're operating from like a calm state, you're able to see everything as an opportunity for you to either demonstrate or for you to like embody or whatever, or notice like the little things.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
You know, one little tip or trick that I usually employ, or that I have, and you know, when you mentioned like when you go to spend money and then it's like
you feel a contraction.
So what I've learned, or something that I read somewhere, and
I thought I was the only one who feels contraction.
Sometimes I do too. And so what I've learned is it's to like, first of all, thank the money itself.
Thank your money. Yes.
Thank your money.
Yes.
So treat it, even how like you organize it or arrange it. I know people nowadays don't really carry cash, but if you do, the way you organize it in your wallet, when you're paying for something, thank the universe and then ask for it to be multiplied and to come back to you in like a more expansive state.
Yeah.
It like spend it in joy, spend it in, because I have so much of it, you know. The other trick was to trick your brain, because your brain doesn't really know what you're experiencing. You're the one who feeds the experience.
The body doesn't know.
The
body
know.
You have to tell the body that you're safe.
Yeah.
You really have to tell it.
And so when I need to feel like, oh my God, I'm really abundant, I'll take like 1,000 shilling notes and then I'll break it down into either 50 shilling note or 100 shillings notes. And when I go somewhere, I tip everyone, and I'm like, I'm blessing you with abundance.
I need to start carrying cash.
I'm blessing you with abundance. I have so much of it to give. Like, yes, I'm abundant. Like, I have so much of it to give. And like, I think like the joy that those people experience also amplifies your own abundance as well, and it feels good to give. Yes, because giving is also like a state of abundance. You can't give what you do not have. Right? Yeah. So you like I've noticed like during times when I'm practicing it, I end up feeling more expansive. Exactly. Like, oh my God.
Exactly. Definitely. Giving makes you feel expansive. For
exactly.
Sure.
And so I've really practiced that. Even that form of like, hey, here's 100 shillings and thank you for helping me carry my groceries to the car. Yeah. Or here is this, or even like in traffic, and you know those guys that entertain people like you're in traffic, and I'm like, oh, thank you for giving me that entertainment while I was sitting here. And I give, and I found that when I do that, I end up feeling more expansive. Right. And suddenly something comes in to replace what I've given out, and it's even more. Yeah. Like you're not doing it for that reason, but automatically the energy will respond to that. Yes,
that has happened to me. Yeah. That definitely had happened to me. Like maybe it was end of 2023 or end of 2023, where like close to Christmas, I just felt like, you know, people were like in the Christmas mood. So I did like take like a few thousands, broke it down. Yeah. And then just went out, and people that are like on the street and was just giving that. Yeah. I just felt so expansive, like you were saying. And then I think like the following months, I got like what do you call it? I got like a bonus. I got a bonus that I did not expect. Right? And I was like, the energy is so how energy works is so interesting.
It's so interesting. Yeah. And like even when they say like even your environment will show you like where you're at. If you have clutter in your environment, if you're hoarding, if you have a lot of like resentment. I think I was telling you the other day, when I want to attract something into my life, I start to shed things that I feel no longer serve me. So, and that comes with like cleaning my apartment, so making sure that everything is squeaky clean. Offloading what I no longer need. So that means like my wardrobe, purging out my wardrobe, making sure that if there's anything in the house that I'm no longer using, I'll donate it, give it out, do this, do that. And then that's external, creating space externally. And then creating space internally for me just means, am I holding on to resentment? Am I holding on to unforgiveness? Am I holding on to anger? Am I holding on to, God, I feel I deserve more, and therefore I'm angry that I feel like I deserve more, but then you're you're so full on the inside, even if that abundance came through, there's no place for it. And so I go through this process where I'm like purging, like any feelings of unworthiness, any unforgiveness that I'm holding on to, like anything internally that I feel that I need to release, I consciously release it. And usually by the end of that period, it depends, it takes different times, not always, but most times, I'll then end up with the thing that I wanted to have, because I've consciously created space, both externally and internally as well.
But in terms of like the thing, in terms of like what we were talking about earlier about like the thing not giving you the feeling, because like what you hear like in the manifestation community, or like even some of the things that I've practiced, is like embodying the feelings of having the thing. Like I don't know if that's something you've practiced, or you know, like if you're trying to attract something, like you're trying to attract a job, like how is it gonna feel being in that job if you're like attracted to the job description in terms of like what you're going to do, or like if you're trying to attract more money, like what is that money going to do for you? And is it freedom? Is it going to enable you to buy like whatever? Like in terms of embodying the feeling. Like is that something you practice with, and like how have you
I would say yes, absolutely, because even before that thing comes into your into your field or into your energy, it's you've created space for it and dealt with. So my process is, what do I want for this new job? Do I want to have time freedom? And so that's a non-negotiable for me. How do I want to feel when I have it? Do I want to have more time to work out? Then that's what I'm going to put down. And then I'll make sure that even in my current, whatever I have right now, I'm creating time for that.
To
like
do those
I
things.
already start
To embody.
doing it and to embody it.
Right.
So what I'm asking for, can I have even more time?
Right.
So if maybe I have to drive really far for my job and I'm having to wake up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. so that I can do the 5 a.m. and then by 6 a.m. I'm back home, I'm getting ready, I'm going. I'll do it then, but then I'll be like, okay, can I have a job that allows me to have more time so that I can, or maybe a shorter commute, so that I'm waking up at 6 a.m., going to the gym, 7 a.m., and then by 9 I'm in the office. So it's starting to do the thing first, so that when you're asking for it, it's something that you're already doing. You're just asking for a more expanded form and a more expanded state of it. If I want to have more money so that I feel like I'm giving, I'm doing this, and then I do my trick. I'm like, I'll take my 1,000 shilling note, I'll bless it, and I'm so grateful, and I'm going to share it with others. So I'm giving those 50 shilling, 100 shilling notes. See, the universe is reading it as, I'm already abundant. I already have it. I'm already giving. So what I want is to attract an even bigger amount that allows me to do it on a much larger platform that I currently am doing. If it's like, say, I want to feel happier, I want to feel more peace, I want to feel more harmony. When you're doing the internal work of like forgiving, when you're doing the internal work of confronting like the unworthiness, you're already in that process. Because it's also like, even when you're negotiating, say like your salary, if it's a job, you're negotiating from a point of how much do I feel I'm worth for this position. And so you're already working through it internally before you even get the job. And so the process, I think, is not so much about getting the job. It's what has the journey been? How have I changed? Is my life now more organized because I don't have clutter? I've cleaned. Am I feeling lighter because I've already shed the weight of like the unforgiveness, the this, the that, the that. And sometimes when you get the job, you may feel like, oh, I don't feel fulfilled, or you're happy for a while and then it goes flat, it's because it was never about getting the job.
Right.
It was the journey of creating it and being creative and welcoming it, and then what were the things that you shared, what were the lessons that you learned in the process, it was about the journey of getting to that thing.
Yeah.
And then once you're there, you've already done the work.
Yeah, because again, it's not about the destination.
Yeah.
Like what you think the destination is gonna bring you. Like if you are not doing those things in the journey, you're gonna be the same person in this destination. And like we said earlier, like a lot of people, like what trips people is the fear and not feeling safe. Like if your nervous system is not safe, your body is not feeling safe, you're not regulated, you're fearful, and then you attract that thing, you're still gonna be the same person, with the same wounds, with the same fears, with the same blocks, right? Even when you get to the other timeline where you have everything, you're still going to be the same person. And so I think the important thing then is the nervous system regulation. Like the safety is absolutely necessary. Like because safety is one of is it like on the Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Right, like
safety. It's the first one.
Right, like on the hierarchy of needs, safety is the first one. So that it's so important to establish.
One is like basic needs, like housing, shelter, and then I think safety and something, and
but safety is like
belonging, and then
safety is like
one
right
of the
there.
Core ones. It's like the first three.
Exactly. So it's fundamental to establish. Like we said, the body does not know. You have to tell the body you're safe, right? Like you were saying, your trick is like having the bunch of cash that you can visually see and then give out. That tells your body like this is a safe thing for us to do.
Absolutely.
Right, so that safety is so important to establish, because if you're going on the next timeline as the same person with the same fears, with the same wounds,
you're just going to recreate the same
you have whatever money, you would have whatever job title, but you're still creating the same experience of lack. You're going to be operating from like a fearful state. There's a lot of us that operate from a lack mentality. This is actually one of my biggest lessons in this lifetime. Just addressing the lack mentality. And I made a conscious decision. I think it might have been in 2020 when I started like my whole healing journey. I intentionally was like, lack mindset is one of the things that I want to address, right? I'm still in the journey. It's a journey, right? There's no destination.
We all are. That's one of mine.
There's no destination. It's always like a learning, whatever. Like the more time passes, if you're integrating those lessons, you're always expanding, right? So even sometimes when I notice the contraction, like I was talking about earlier, like I'm paying for something and I notice a contraction, I have the awareness to know that that is my old pattern and my old wound trying to show up. It's not me, right? It's like, because sometimes you can be like, shame yourself.
Too identified with it.
Right, you can shame yourself thinking like, oh, I'm still like the older version of me that used to operate from a lack mindset. But because the fact that you have the awareness and you're able to actually witness the contraction without identifying with it, already shows that you're no longer the same person. You're a different person. You're in a different timeline. When I started like addressing the lack mindset, I had to create safety measures. Like, because you start slowly. Before you start feeling expansive, it's actually a preparation. Like, and I think we've talked about this before, preparing your nervous system slowly. Slowly. It's like, okay, you kind of like tease it a little bit with something. And then once it feels safe, then you expand a bit more. Once it feels safe, you expand a bit more. So like some of the things that I started to do is like, okay, creating a budget that then allows me to even spend on things that I couldn't not have spent before, right? To just like something small. That allows you
yourself to have that experience.
So it's like, I'm still feeling safe. I'm still operating from a place where like I feel safe. I feel like I'm not going way out of what feels safe for me, but I'm teasing a little bit, right? And then with time I'm building a little bit, kind of making my nervous system experience what this feels like, and then once it feels safe, then I expand and I expand. So that safety is so important as like a fundamental thing that you need to lay as a groundwork as you expand in like addressing the lack mindset, because we can talk about abundance being a state of being, right? But if people are still not at that level, they're not going to know what that means.
Even when you do get it, if you've not worked on the safety, if you've not worked on your internal, you're going to sabotage it automatically, because you don't feel safe having it, or your mind and your nervous system is still recreating the same experience over and over and over again. And because we've used the example of like jobs, which I'm sure is what most people can relate with that are watching, have you heard of the fact that if you're in one toxic environment, the chances of going into a different environment and recreating that same scenario
because you're
with
the same
different
person,
people,
you're the same person with the same
90%.
energy, with the same fears,
exactly,
right?
exactly.
Because the only thing that has changed is the job,
environment,
right? You went as the same person.
It's going to be the same script, just different characters, and you'll keep experiencing it over and over and over again until you work on what you need to work on internally, until you learn the lessons that you need to learn, and then you can evolve and move to the next stage.
Yeah,
because then. And it's the same thing as well with like partners. When people say like, oh my God, I'm dating the same person in different bodies.
Right.
It's because what you're
the
meant
same
to
person.
learn, you're the same person.
Yeah.
So you're recreating the same cycles and the same patterns over and over again. In friendships as well, I keep attracting people who betray me. I keep attracting people who are like this, who are like that. No, it's because the reason why it keeps recurring is because you have not learned the lesson that you need to learn. But when you go internally and you learn it and you alchemize it and you go to the next stage, you're no longer going to be at the same vibration with attracting people who bring that out in you. And the funny thing is, it could be that those very same people, you have that experience with them, but they're entirely different people with others. It's because this is specifically meant for you.
Yes.
And that's one of the lessons that I've learned as well. It's like if I don't fully address things, wherever I go, whatever I do, I'm just going to be bringing
You're taking
it
that
with
you.
me constantly and consistently.
You're taking that with you.
I do agree with you in terms of creating safety and learning what you need to do internally, and then automatically translates to the external.
Yeah, because the lack abundance is not, it's not really about what you have. Like how many, like I used to before, sometimes I would have like enough money in a bank account, but even buying that cup of coffee felt unsafe.
Yeah.
Right? Felt unsafe. It's something like you literally can even look at the figure that you have in your bank account, but even like paying for whatever, the contraction is there,
it's
right?
Because you like in such instances, and I think I've also had sometimes that you've not fully embodied it.
Yes.
It's like, have you ever heard of these people who like they'll go to maybe say like a fancier restaurant or somewhere and they say, I feel completely out of place. They're not comfortable in that environment. You know why? It's because they've internally, that's not who they are. And so it shows up as discomfort externally. Or like people who are like much larger and then they lose weight and they always say even if they're skinny like in the physical, they constantly feel the size that they were when they were bigger. And even when they go shopping, I think I was watching a content creator just the other day saying she's lost so much weight, but when she goes into a store to buy, she's now I think like a size 12, she's still grabbing the size 16 and 18 first. And then realizes like I'm no longer
because it's only the external that has changed, the internal hasn't changed.
And then she was like, oh my God, like I'm starting to realize I have to work on thinking I'm no longer the body size that I used to be. It has actually changed, but it takes time for your internal, for your nervous system to catch up that you're a different person. And so you need active work for your external and your internal to match.
Right.
And then you're able to then hold on to that reality, because if you don't, then what happens? Within a short period of time, you've worked so hard, you've lost the weight because that's what you desired. I'm an advocate of you're beautiful at whatever size that you are. But then maybe if your goal is to lose weight and you've worked hard at it and you've lost the weight, then what ends up happening is at some point you gain it all back because you lost it externally.
Yeah, you lost it externally,
but you
internally.
did not reconcile your external and your internal.
Yeah.
So you still go back to you manifest the same reality externally.
It's what you were speaking to earlier about like people winning lotteries and then losing the money.
Then they lose the money.
Like the example you just gave, like the person, the nervous system doesn't feel safe in the new identity, the new body, because they didn't address like some of the beliefs, some of the wounds that were associated with that body and with that identity. Like if you haven't addressed that, you're still the same person internally. And that goes to show that like we are not our bodies, we are not, right? So like the internal work is so much important. The safety, the conflict, the lack mindset, the wounds, like all of those things are so important to address, like as you work in your as you work towards your abundance journey, right? Like we were saying, you need to realize that it's not having, it's like the energy that you're operating from, because even getting that thing, it's not going to bring you the energy that you are lacking, right? You need to address the energy and not the thing, right? Because once you are aligned in terms of energy, then you're going to attract what that energy is aligned with.
The universe operates from a state of flow, not a state of force. Like I feel like the energy responds to a state of flow,
right?
As opposed to forcing it. And forcing it means, personally, and to be honest, I've been in instances where I felt like I need to do more, I need to do more, I need to do more. And the more I did, the less I received. Because it's almost like I locked it, because there's no room to allow for things to flow to you.
And we've talked about this before.
Because forcing is also a form of control. Because you think you have to do, but then you're never ever giving yourself time to just stop and allow things to come to you, or even allow situations to unfold as they should. Because and I'll give like even the instances and situations, like in terms of a job, I like to give jobs because
a lot of people can relate to jobs.
I relate to it, and a lot of people relate to it. And this girl wanted to like resign from her job and start her own business, and she felt like it was this big choice and this big decision that she had to make. And so she was like, okay, I want to resign, but if I resign now, then I'm going to struggle to have the funds to start my own business. Or if I move to a job with like more money, then it means I'll have less time to work on my business. So even though I'll have the extra income to put into the business, I'm not going to have the time.
Yes.
And the advice that she got at the time, because this is a conversation that we're having, was like, that's where the choiceless,
you were talking about earlier.
Let it become choiceless. And so she waited, and she was like, it feels like you have to make this huge decision. And it was like, let it become choiceless. And literally like a couple months down the line, her boss or management came to her and said, like, you know what, your role is redundant. It's no longer required, but we're giving you a 6-month severance pay, like as payout.
Oh my gosh.
So she waited. So she now had both the time
and the money. Yeah.
But if she had resigned, she
wouldn't have gotten
the severance pay. If she had thought of like, oh, maybe just earn a bit more money, and it's like where it's trickling in like month to month, she would have had no time. She would have needed to save longer to get to her goal and be very tired, because then she's juggling. But she waited for it to be choiceless. And what happened was she got both. Because then she got the severance pay, and then she had the time.
Right.
And it all worked out for her.
Sometimes when you're trying to create abundance, you feel like you need to be doing.
All the time.
Right? But sometimes there are seasons of just being in touch with the feminine, which is allowing, and then doing, which is the masculine, right? That is the balance that I've been trying to strike. Right, and it's actually not an easy thing. And as I was telling you, when the universe wants you to act,
it's going to give you
you're going to have the energy. Like you were saying, like when the universe was like, okay, this role is going to be stripped away, but I'm going to give you, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's like learning to dance with like allowing and doing. And it's so tricky, right? Because it's like tricky. Your mind tells you something, like, because you don't know what's happening behind the scenes, right? And you can't know, like, okay, like this is a time for me to allow, because we're conditioned to be doing. That's why, like, we find it so hard to allow, right? But then not allowing creates resistance, as you were saying, right? Like the flow, like if you're not allowing things to come to you, there's resistance there, and things are not gonna flow to you.
And sometimes you even end up making like, and I'll give like my own experience where as you know, I've been in this state where I've just been swamped with so much, and I've been doing, and in very much in my masculine energy, and I've been wanting to sort of like create a state of stillness and to allow that flow to come to me, so that I'm not constantly doing and constantly operating from the masculine, which is basically forcing and efforting. And I think also because a part of me, a belief system in me feels like if I don't act, if I don't do, if I'm not out there, if I'm not efforting, then it's not going to come to me. I have to be the one doing it.
Yes.
And what I'm learning now is like, first of all, stop. Even when you stop, things are still functioning.
Yes.
Things are still operational. It's still going to come to you. And there's also just a part of me that feels like if I stop, the whole world crumbles. It's also being that I'm very used to doing constantly all the time, and being a firstborn daughter, and like I take care of everyone, I never have time to stop and just be still and be in the now. And now I'm being forced to, and I think one of the reasons, and if you watch like a previous episode and we've spoken about this, one of the reasons why I've had to make a choice, a decision that I'm making, one of the reasons why I'm like, was it the right choice? Was it this? It's because I've stopped and I have so much time on my hands, and I feel like it's wrong for me to be resting. And did I make the right? And did I? And did I? Sometimes I also feel guilty for stopping.
Yeah, because I think you still have, like, there's a part of you that still have the lack. Because if you still hold, because we're all in the journey, like we're always confronting. If you still, like, we're always going to be confronting the lack. It's never going to go away.
I'm working on my abundance is because a part of me does not feel fully worthy to experience a level of abundance that I want to experience. I still have a lack mindset in most things, and that's why I consciously, consistently work on it. And I think we're having a conversation where I like to recalibrate slowly and take stock and then go to the next stage and go to the next stage. It's because I'm not still yet fully comfortable and believing and feel like I'm worthy of attracting the level of abundance that I want. And sometimes I've had opportunities where I can experience that level of abundance, but somehow I end up sabotaging it.
Because you still have you're still operating a bit from lack. Like you were saying, the reason why you feel guilty, and I've told you about this as well, like I deal with the guilt of not always doing, right? That's a huge guilt, is because the lack part of you tells you that you need to be always doing in order to receive. You need to do something in order to be worthy of receiving, right? So when you have the space,
society tells you that, because our society is very much like you need to be going, doing constantly, and if you're not, like, you know, how are we conditioned? You're rewarded for your hard work. You're hardworking. You do so much. You do, and that's like, it's glorified. But then when you're in a state of allowing and you're not doing as much, you're termed as lazy, and you know, you're getting free things. You're what's the word that people use for is it a freeloader? A freeloader, and this and that. And so in our mind, we're conditioned to think that we have to effort in order to get. There's a lot of shame attached to just sort of like being still and not doing much. And I think that's part of what we're purging. To allow ourselves to rest in that feminine, and to know that I don't constantly have to be doing in order for me to get.
It just makes me feel like part of my experience navigating this void is the universe wants me to embody the abundance, because there's nothing that I'm doing like outside, like I don't have anything that I'm like doing in terms of job or whatever. So it's like I'm needing to confront the feelings of, you know, I need to be doing in order to be worthy. But the universe is presenting me with this void in order to confront the feelings of like I need, you know, like I don't need to be doing, like I'm worthy because I exist, right? So, and it's like one of the hardest, most excruciating thing to face because of the conditioning. Like, how do you do the unconditioning? Like, for so many years, that's how you've been operating. Like, it's not just 1 year, it's not 6 months. You, since you were born, went to primary, went to high school, went to college, went to work, all of these years you've been operating from this paradigm, right? So in order for you to change that paradigm, it actually takes a lot of work, and sometimes that's why the universe maybe gives you an opportunity to have space where nothing is happening, because in order for you to shift from that paradigm, you actually require time, you require stillness.
And
right?
To shed.
It requires stillness, you require time in order to shed, because if you're doing, you're always going to be operating from that paradigm, because you don't have time to reflect and confront the feelings of lack, the feelings of unworthiness, right? Because you're just going to be doing, and it's going to reinforce like, okay, I'm worthy because I'm doing, I'm worthy because I'm doing, I'm worthy. And now the universe, because you chose expansion, we both chosen expansion to go on this spiritual journey, because we've chosen that. The universe is going to be like, in order for you to claim the light of being abundant, you need to confront the feelings of unworthiness. And part of that is, I'm going to take the job away from you. You've dealt with that. I've dealt with that multiple times. I'm still dealing with that, right? Because I want to claim the gift of like, I'm operating from completeness, from abundance. So here's an opportunity for you to show that for you to show that, like, even if there's no job, there's no income coming in, you still feel worthy, right? You don't have to be doing. And that's why, like, I was like, why am I feeling like I can't talk about abundance? I'm already like demonstrating. As hard as it is,
you have so much material in this topic. Like.
Exactly. So it's like, as hard as it is for me to navigate this space, I actually feel complete. And even though like it's a healing journey, like I'm not on the other side, and it's never gonna be a destination.
I think we all are.
Exactly. I'm still in it. But a large part of me has actually alchemized a lot of the wounds. I've processed like a lot of those, like, you know, lack mindset, limiting beliefs, right? I'm still expanding. But it's like, I don't know why I was considering myself like, oh, I can't talk about abundance because I don't have money coming in. Because when I look at my bank account, it doesn't say something. So it shows that I'm still, there's part of me that's still operating from the old conditioning.
No, it's a very valid feeling to feel when you're in this state. And I think I've told you, and honestly, I think this is a very necessary part of the journey for anybody who's going through growth, who's going through expansion. People that I've spoken to, everybody has a time in their life when they're literally just forced to stop and do nothing. I've had it, I told you. I went through like my year where literally I was in that same position, and I struggled with those feelings during that year. And I think it's necessary, and you're made to be in that position, first of all, so that you can shed, so that you can gain your sense of self, so that you can become disidentified with like, I need to do this in order to have this, I need to do this. And honestly, you're doing so much work internally, you do not need to be doing anything externally. It's exhausting. And so, until you're at a place where you've shed so much internally that you can now have like both the external and the internal happening at the same time, then you go back out into the, you know. But even within this period, I find that you have moments and bursts of like where I feel I should take this aligned action. I feel that I have the energy to do this. We were talking about this just yesterday. There's still those moments, but to be honest, and I think this part is the most important stage of the journey. And if you rush through it, and if you want to be out of it, then you miss the gift that it is.
Because it's about the journey, it's not about the destination.
Exactly.
The way you treat the journey is how what you quote unquote destination is going to be. Right? Because people think like, okay, I'm here, but I need to get there, right? And it's because of like, goes back to the same thing where you think the thing that's there at the destination is going to give you something that you don't already have. So therefore, you're treating the journey as a means to an end. Right? That's a huge lesson that I've heard to learn. You know, it goes back to like operating from the present moment. treating each present moment and each breath as if it's the most important thing. It's not the easiest thing to do, but if you are operating like that, where you treat the journey as important as what you think is the destination, even though there's no destination, if you learn to enjoy the journey, and as painful as it is, take it as it is. It's not, you don't have to be smiling, just allowing the flow. Exactly, allowing the flow to happen, and whatever that thing that you want to call in, because we're always manifesting and we're always wanting things. Whenever it comes, it's not gonna be like, oh my God, I want to hold on to it, I don't want to lose it, because you were already embodying like the journey as if the journey was the destination. You're operating from completeness, and your energy was the energy of abundance, because abundance is really energy, and it's how you feel about your journey, about what you have in your surrounding, what you have in your life, the love, and all of those things.
But one thing that I can tell you, enjoy this phase, savor it, because once you're out of it, it's almost like a marathon. It's like,
but it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to
it's
be,
like
but most times it is.
Yeah, but like I think you can choose not to, like you can cultivate like the way that I want. For example, it's like when I get out of this void, how I see myself, like when I start doing in the world, I actually don't want that chase. I still want a very slow, where like I allow the rhythm of like a dance of like flow and do and flow and do. You can actually actively choose to operate from like a state where you're not just like, oh my gosh. So that's what I want to cultivate, right? Because I love my freedom. Like one of the things that happens, like especially if you've embodied some of these lessons, you've shared a lot, you, even when you're not doing something and it sucks that nothing is coming in, there's internal peace and internal freedom.
That's true.
And that's what speaks to the abundance. Even though like nothing is coming in, I feel abundant because the amount of freedom and amount of peace that I have is nothing that money can buy. So therefore, like I prioritize this, and I know that this is so important to me. And I want to have that. Like, as I start doing, I still want to, because I'm embodying the freedom and whatever. When I go onto the next stage, I know that this is going to be part of me. So it's not going to be like...
But you know, it's not really about the money. Like, for me, when I speak about abundance, most
of the time...
I
was talking about, like, all you're saying, like, the doing, doing.
Not doing. I mean, like, because, at least let me speak to my experience. When you're in this state, like you wish for a lot, you want to manifest this, you want to manifest that, you want to manifest that. And what I found is, like, in this stage, it's almost like you're shedding and creating space, and it's like you're a gathering of energy. You know, like when you're playing a thing and then it's like it's pulled back.
Actually, I know what you're saying. I know what you're trying to get at, because
and then once it's like it's and then it catapults you.
I know what you're trying to say, because I actually let me see if, so this weekend I found myself just working the whole weekend. I just got like a surge of energy, and I was like, okay. So I at first I didn't understand what you were trying to.
No, that's what I mean, because then once it's like you have the energy, the opportunities are there, and there's this and there's that, and you're excited and you're on a mission and you're doing this and you're doing that. It's not that you consciously are out chasing. It's just that
you have like so much energy because you
have the opportunities, you have the what you wanted is coming at you, and you want to do everything because you're like, oh my God, I want to explore every single thing. I want to explore every single thing. I have the job that I like. I want to give time to that. Oh my God, I have this podcast. I want to give time to that. Oh my God, I now have a partner. I want to give time to them. I have this. I want to give time to it. So it's not that you choose to like be. It's just that now
you just have so much energy that you want to give.
Energy.
You have an abundance of energy.
Places, and
That's what I'm
things,
saying.
people, places that require of you to give. So you don't choose, you find yourself in it. And it's also another form of recalibration. So before you get to a point of balance, you're recalibrating. So you recalibrate in terms of, I can be at a state of rest. And then I feel there's then also another stage that comes in where everything is literally coming at you. Can you be able to still function in that state? And then now then comes the state where everything is now in equilibrium. I can choose to have more happening. I can choose to have nothing. You're just at that state of
because you found your balance. I get what you're saying. Like once the energy comes in the universe, it's like, okay, now it's time for you to act, because you've been conserving so much energy and you have all this energy. Then you feel like it needs to be directed somewhere.
Exactly.
And then once like it's kind of come to balance,
it
you're like,
naturally balances itself out.
I get what you're saying.
All of them are stages in evolution.
Yes.
Because they state it's like nature. There's winter where you're like hibernating. Then there's spring where like the growth is starting to happen. Then there's summer when it's like, whew, everything is happening and the growth has happened and you're happy and it's sunny and you're enjoying it. And then comes autumn where you then start to shed what you've, you know, during that period and during that season. And so I see the human experience as that you have to be, you need to be able to experience all states before you get to that point of I'm choosing this, I'm choosing that. And you have to actively be put in that position. They're all stages, and we go through it at different stages and at different times, and you go through it before you go through the awakening and after the awakening, because you've worked on it internally, but can you handle it when it comes to the external?
Right.
Because during this season, we shed so much and we're like, oh my God, I get that, I understand it. And then all of a sudden, it comes up in your external reality, and even though you have the awareness, you're like, I have reacted in the same way. So it means there's still another layer to go back to. So that's how I view it, because you have to go through all the stages and then you find the balance.
Honestly, it's just I don't know why I was doubting my ability to talk, or like I don't know why I was doubting that I'm already abundant. It's
Can I tell you something? I think this is an area that you really like need to work on, because you're very abundant, but you need to believe it
I need to
yourself.
be aware. Exactly.
You need to be. And so and also like look at how are you looking at your own personal abundance.
I was reflecting after you said you wanted to talk about it, and I realized that I'm actually already operating from abundance because of the freedom and peace that I feel. And then they're actually understanding. I know for sure that nothing externally is going to give me something that I already don't have, because I have everything right now. So whatever is going to come, like whatever I'm trying to call in, is just going to be an addition, right? And I have so much to talk about. There's so much.
What I can say is after this topic, there's a part 2 coming. Definitely.
There's definitely a part 2 coming in. There's a lot that you have to talk about. There's a lot that I have to talk about. This is definitely a topic that we're going to come back to, right? Because abundance, there's a lot to say, right? Because a lot of people, this is something that a lot of people struggle with, you know, because of course you want to attract money so that you can have opportunities and whatever. So abundance is, I think, it's one of those topics that a lot of people are interested in. So if you found this conversation like enlightening, if you found that you could relate with some of the things, if you found that some of the things you couldn't relate, we would love to hear from you. You can rate us on Apple and Spotify. You can also comment on the YouTube channel. If you decided to go audio-visual and you were watching this, please comment below, give us your feedback, and let us know some of the things that you would like us to explore. If you want to get in touch with either of us, we have like our information in the description, in the Apple, on Spotify, and on YouTube. We have our Instagram and TikTok pages. You can get in touch with us, and then give us your feedback. We'd love to hear from you.
And also, if there's any other topics you'd like for us to tackle or talk about, share them in the comments as well.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you on the next one.